Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are in with the America's Cup for the women. The ladies have gotten out on course. We'll get you some replays as we are recording them right now of the first couple of sprints. But Dave, as we are setting up, it is a battle of 2024 versus Riot versus Optimum, it looks like, and ATP and OTR out there, all of the big hitters from the Americas. And Dave, I think today is going to be no exception from what we saw earlier this morning / afternoon out of Europe. It was an all-out brawl continually out on the Glasgow Crit course. They're going to be taking on the Clyde Kicker every lap, as well as the Champions Sprint, and there's been a lot of tactics playing out today.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. No doubt about it. So this is as classic as it gets with WTRL in the Zwift Racing League Finals format. But Nathan, earlier today, we saw a record number of points being scored by athletes. When you add up, we can talk about this more, but the FTS points, the FAL points with the finish line points, we might have even had an athlete hit 200 points of scoring out here today, or close to that. Anyways, it's going to be a Donnybrook. Let's be honest. I don't know who this Clyde is with the Clyde Kicker, but that is brutal. And it's like the World Interval Championships, what's happening out here. These laps are at 3 kilometers per, 10 of them making up the distance, but it's really not that. It's the impact that these sprints have. Nathan, we saw it throughout the day today.
100%. Let's jump right down into the third sprint on the day. We'll take a look at the replays on the first two in just a moment. They are heading into their championship sprint for their second time. The first time is straight from the pens that you see behind the athletes at this moment, and it is opening up on the little negative 2% gradient, as you can see, and it is FTS from that green line. It is going to be Marion Lawson here from 2024 leading things out. Now OTR taking over the front, though, with Cassandra Rush with the nickname Crush It, and that arrow power up, taking those FALs across the line. Nice sprint there coming in from Cassandra as she takes down some big points for OTR. We'll take a look at the league standings as they are in just a moment as things settle on down and we get an idea of who's all made this lead group, as well as the jerseys that are sitting in front of us. A little bit smaller pack to manage out here, Dave, as far as who's who amongst them. I'm also loving the color coordination between all of them at this moment to be able to identify.
Yeah, it's kind of a quality and a quantity thing. We're just straight with quality out here, that's for sure. We eliminate all of the pack fodder and whatnot and just get right down to extremely intense racing. ATP comes out firing. I like to see that, the team in gray and pink. So we can talk about the gladiators of esports out here and start identifying these athletes. Obviously, Virginia Blue Ridge, that's going to be the team in the all blue top with the black kit. That's the team of one of the world's best, Kristen Kolchinski. And we had a chance last week to highlight what's happening with that team, and we'll talk about it more today during the 30 kilometers of racing out here. But Virginia Blue Ridge takes top points with 20. It's linear, so it stacks up just 1 point ahead of ATP Racing Stingers. And I think that was maybe the surprise of last week in the very unique format that we had, Nathan, was the ride from ATP as they come out on top of Riot on the table here. But Riot is still right there, but they're going to need a little bit of help if they're going to take the season title. Again, we went through 6 races throughout January and February and now into March. This is the second of 3 in the Zwift finals. As we take a look, that must be Christy Tracy, or the Riot rider, attacking here at the bottom of the climb. But Nathan, I'll throw it back to you as we look at the onslaught coming from Rider of the Year, Emily Ehrlich.
Ehrlich now grabbing the points, it looks like, and Kolchinski right behind. Nice little kick from Emily Ehrlich, though, and she is definitely a rider who has been absolutely on fire as of recently amongst the Zwift Racing League. Definitely a breakout rider, I would say, amongst the crew on 2024. A shining star as of recently, and I think this coming into the season finale as far as round 3 goes, as well as in the Zwift Racing League finals, she has put herself in a amazing position, I think, right next to Kristen Kolchinski of leadership on this team. It's awesome to see Ehrlich and the results that she is getting.
It's kind of the American version of Los Angeles, the world champion, Nathan, where she's getting results on Zwift and in real life, as she just won the Valley of the Sun stage race down in Arizona a few weeks ago and has been unbelievably consistent in this world. Kristen Kolchinsky remains the queen of American Zwifters, along with Jackie Godby, I would say, and certainly showing Ariel Verhaeren credit. Ariel was en fuego, Nathan, earlier today in her race. But back to the action. There's Champagne to the front of the Optum team. We've loved the spirit that the Quebec based squad has brought to this league, and they're going to be even more dangerous as they figure out their team time trialing and move into the next level of esports. Back to you, Nathan. Here we go, another kicker. This is where we're starting to see Virginia Blue Ridge has been riding at another level out here. Cassandra Rush's parents must have had a lot of foresight to see that by knowing that they were the Rush family, but a C as an initial would give her that crush it, the perfect hashtag.
Absolutely loving that. Now we are seeing at the top right now, though, current point structure. It is going to be OTR and ATP followed up by Riot. So, but then we see Lawson, Ehrlich, Brady all in and amongst that as well. Ronnie Brady now making a move, but who's at the front? It's really difficult to come over the top. We've noticed throughout these sprints, if you do get a lead in because of that negative gradient, but it's going to be Lawson again. Nice little move there from Lawson. Don't always see her at the front of these sprints. Very well timed from Erin as they come through sprint number 4 for the champion sprint. That's going to get some solid points there for VBR 2024. So, Dave, it's interesting though. Cassandra Rush has made 47 points. Very good for that team at this point. Taking down an FTS, I believe, for first place for fastest through segment, followed up by also a solid 2 points. I think she was able to grab in there somewhere as well for some FTS. So a lot of FTS points going to Rush's way as well as OTR. They still have some representation, I think, from Annie Poland in here and maybe one other rider still. So still with 3 riders holding the fort down for OTR. As we did see in the current league standings, they are still in 4th place right now and are in the run at this moment still for a podium spot. So it's going to be important for them to hold out for the entirety of the 10 laps out here for lots of points still available.
I believe OTR started with 4, which is the minimum, but legal and gets you in the mix. And you mentioned Poland and Rush, Jen Moroz and Lauren Babineau, the other 2 riders that took the start here today. So, Nathan, there's 3 ways to score points today. So you see the league points. That same table will be on offer. So the winning team tonight, if you're in North America, will get 20 points, 19 per second on down. So to get those points, your team is going to be adding points. This is Christy Tracy, great example of a team that'll be in the mix here, but very similar to the last time we were on this sprint. You see the 2 go charging by side, Ehrlich and Kolchinsky. These 2 have really found great partnership in esports working together.
They might just break away here, Dave. Kolchinsky goes over the top, 5.9 watts per kilogram, just doesn't even care. And this is her wheelhouse if she can continue on, but there's so much firepower behind. I think we're going to see some roll-throughs in a moment. Ehrlich's going to back on off. Kolchinsky's going to have a little bit of continuance. We'll see if she really presses on. I think she's going to sit up a little bit. 5.4, that's a nice little kick. Now the real question comes in, though, and I think they're just a little bit too close, but it is going to whittle things down a little bit behind. And if you put in these slices, you bring the katana a couple times and start chopping away at the wood, eventually there's not going to be enough bodies left here, and she may be able to whittle it down enough to really make a break.
Sensei Nathan, I like it. Moving into a whole new realm of teaching out here. So, but you make a great point, especially with this team. This very rare that you see a solo attack that has any chance of making it, especially with the field like this. But Kristen Kolchinsky, I would not be too surprised if she's alone at the end of this race out here. But again, timing things is going to be critical. And the other women here also realize that it's not just Kolchinsky. It seems like this is somewhat similar to last week's storyline as far as how do you beat 2024. Well, it certainly is going to take a lot of Zwiftcraft, that's for sure. Taking a look at Megan Rathwell now up on the front. These teams have had an epic battle all season long. Steel sharpens steel, and we have definitely seen that. We've seen riders like Michelle Jean here of the Optimum team has risen from a new name to us, Nathan, to a rider who in the next couple of seasons is going to be, I mean, she's watched we've watched her turn into a perennial powerhouse in front of our eyes. And we're going to go back now. There's a name we haven't mentioned yet, but Rachel Lieberman of the ATP team.
Sandra Rush going to just walk away with this one. Well-timed little kick there. It is going to be Ehrlich trying to come on through. Not going to be able to make it happen. With Steinmetz, though, in for third. Still solid points scored for VBR. Megan Rathwell, Anna Russell still in there, though. Nice placings for Riot. Consistency is going to be key today, but there is a lot of battling for the placings outside of the top three at this moment here, Dave. And, consuming those points all around each and every FAL, it still adds up throughout the entirety of the race. And so I think Riot have been pretty good at this point, Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders still involved here. I think they've been extremely smart about where they are using their energy to just stay as consistent as they possibly can throughout this entire race, because that's going to stack up as things become later on in this 10-lap race.
FTS, fastest through segment, typically goes pretty early. You think that's already gone? Has that ship sailed, Nathan?
I believe that ship has sailed over the Clyde Kicker. I'm not sure if it's sailed, though, through the champion sprint. I have not seen them completely open up from the corner all the way down into the finish line. And I think the ramp up speed, because the actual segment doesn't start until that little green cone on the left-hand side of the course. And if they come into that section with a massive amount of speed, the kind of timings they can get through that section are going to be a lot lower than the current way that they've been running it from the get-go. It's kind of been a jump from the line rather than a roll in with a huge lead out. Lead out speed, I think, still could have a solid FTS later on in this race.
We watched an interesting race earlier today where one team, Aeonian, was dominant, but the battle was really between the riders all the way through the entire field, because every point mattered. Taking a look now at Emily Ehrlich doing it yet again. So this is going to be the season that Emily Ehrlich becomes a household name in the sport of cycling in America. She will break through, Nathan. The work that she's done has really paid off. Kolchinsky's so strong, she can't even help herself, but rolling through here as we take a look at Virginia Blue Ridge, putting on a clinic out here right now. So when we talk about the points, you can pick them up at the fastest through segment. You can get them at the first across the line, and then eventually we'll make our way to the finish line where the Lioness's share of the points await. But this is going to be interesting to see. Can a rider like Kolchinsky score the most points outright on a day like today, which is going to be, when you think about it, with all of the opportunities, it's an incredible number of opportunities that you have out here. She could go over 200 points scored, Nathan.
Yeah, and we did see that earlier today, I believe, with Ariel Verhaeren. And that's one thing I also want to highlight. As we cover the Americas here, Dave, I am extremely impressed, actually, with the way that the women's field coming out of the Americas has completely embraced esports. And we have seen some of the top athletes coming out of the USA, actually, at a level that I've never really seen before in the esports movement. We've been doing this for about 8 years now, as far as the broadcasting goes, and it's pretty amazing at this level suddenly that we've seen in this past year. Ariel Verhaeren, Krista Kolchinsky, we're seeing, as we were saying with Emily Ehrlich here, the talents that are coming out of teams like Riot. There's so much talent within this field, and I absolutely love it because of the way that it puts the Americas on the map, and in a part of the world that doesn't necessarily always get that shining star when it comes to the world of cycling.
Well said, Nathan. If I had a chance to pitch esports to someone, this is the group that I would use to showcase my storefront window with the amount of, as far as all of the different metrics. I actually want to the most important thing is the sport element of this is Emily Ehrlich is again just ripping it. How about this? No, is Christina Grossman, the pride of Queens, New York, getting up in the mix. That's big. Look at the ball cap turned around. She's ready to throw down like a West Side Story, right? The Jets and the Sharks. Well, look at Riot now making a bit of a move here, Nathan. This is a moment the fight back here at the back of the group. This is nitty-gritty racing going on right now here in downtown Paint City. Welcome to Glasgow, Scotland. This is really going to become the racers' course, no doubt about it, as far as if you love racing hard, this is a course you can really dig in on. And Nathan, they've got the throttle wide open. There's our friend Anna Russell. Anna with the Riot team. I think that they're stirring the pot a little bit right now, Nathan, talking about Riot.
I think you're right. Now, again, Dave, that sprint, they haven't opened it up until late. Over and over again, they're waiting till those final moments. So I'm not sure that we've seen the FTSs yet through there. But again, I think you're right, Dave. What you just said, suddenly Riot have been present. Maybe were they allowing a few of these points to go a little bit early on and now saying, okay, now it's time to start executing our battle plan? Are they seeing any kind of cracks in the pavement at this point after enough pounding comes on through out on this Glasgow Crit course? If they do see those cracks, you know, Riot, they're the kind of team, they're going to take full advantage of anything they can possibly get out on course here.
So I was wondering, is there a numbers opportunity? And I thought, oh boy. So one thing's for sure that Riot, that's the team wearing the Zwift jersey for years, Nathan. Oh, this is our 3-year anniversary, by the way, Nathan. Well, since we started doing esports together. So wanted to say thank you for a great 3-year run, my friend. But at that, no, we've been calling that jersey, a classic Zwift jersey, the Tomac jersey. It's got retro 80s mountain bike vibes. But look at this. That's retro crushing vibes right now from our friends at Virginia Blue Ridge as Emily Ehrlich, Crystal Kolchinsky, like a tandem of pain right now. They crack the whip at the front. Just every time they do, you can see riders at the back. They're just struggling to hold on. The Pony Express up on the front right now. This is going to be ATP rider Ul Moran getting back onto the group. But what a battle using the two power-ups today are going to be Arrow and Feather. So
Feather
lightweight
and Truck. There's also Truck out there. They do have the draft as well. Yep.
Okay. Who is this? Is this a lot of Brady? So a lot of Brady
unable to hold on. Yeah, so just VBR 2024 losing some firepower there today, Dave. So now, what do we have? 4?
Well, this is what Riot was hoping for. Slowly, they're starting to unravel that sweater. And because if Riot keeps 5 here, they have a better opportunity now to score points. Again, it's Kolchinsky and Ehrlich who have just been phenomenal. I mean, it's really, truly a great moment in esports. I mean, Emily Ehrlich is already at 120 points scored. Cassandra Rush doing a tremendous job. Actually, that ride from the OTR athlete is exemplary. Great job. As a matter of fact, I'd say, Nathan, her best ride in years, if not 100% ever, going on right now.
It's great to see her back at the front end of this racing and in the Americas going back, as you were saying about, I think 3 years ago, she is definitely, if not 2, she has been a force to be reckoned with. But I think it is this finals suddenly showing up on the scene again as we head into spring here in the Americas. It's great to see Cassandra Rush again at it, but 190 beats per minute right now. Oh my goodness, 191. Can she hold on? And this is that long, drawn-out sprint that we've seen working. Monster. Is she going to hold on to this? So Eric's going to be coming on 7 watts per kilogram, now 8 watts per kilogram, but I think Emily Eric's going to come over the top. She'll hold on for second, I believe. It's going to come right to the line. She does so. So definitely getting the payoff there, Dave, that we have seen time and time again on this downhill sprint that allows you to stay away a little bit.
Level 42 Zwifter. I have never met Cassandra Rush in real life, but Nathan, don't you have a feeling that she's getting ready for what's going to be a massive season? Whether it's mountain or road bike, I just have a feeling that form is percolating right now as we take a look at Emily Ehrlich here and the Riot ladies. So the Riot team looking to 4 on Virginia Blue Ridge. So I'm not saying it's a huge advantage or this tips the scales, but it's a slight glimmer of hope for the other teams out here against Virginia Blue Ridge, who are clearly firing on all cylinders at their very best. But Christina Grossman's got to have a few sprints in here that she's ready to throw down, and I'm ready to watch what Rachel Lieberman can do as well. So this is the Optimum team and Natalie Champagne that we're with right on the Tête de la Course, so the vanguard of this race. Nicole Steinmetz up there monitoring things for Virginia Blue Ridge all the way over on the racer's left-hand side. But you can see a little bit of a grouping from Riot. Just as I say that, the regulators mounting up. There is Kolchinsky.
Yeah, interesting now the situation that we're in. Definitely with 2024 dominating so far. As we get into the later parts of this race, we're halfway through. We've got 4.5 laps to go. And I wonder if anyone's going to start thinking about just trying to break this completely because there's a lot of points to be grabbed for FAL every single time. And there are some riders here I think that are more careful, more comfortable just off the front, which is going to be a Kolchinsky type move. And from there, they can just sit in if they can get Kolchinsky off the front and allow her to do the work that I think she wants to do off the front. But as I say that, she's
Well,
taking these sprints, though, Dave, like a classic sprinter. So this is really interesting to see how she has been able to mutate herself into just this superpower of a sprinter as well. Whereas before I would have said perhaps it was a weak point. Dave, it has turned into one of her strengths in this season.
it's been one of the greatest stories, not just in esports, but in sports, watching what Kristen Kolchinsky has done. So she has what's called a pizza button, Nathan. So right around 20 minutes of racing remaining, she hits that button and it auto dials the pizzeria there in Montauk, Long Island. And then that activates, obviously, that machine so the pizza will be delivered to her right as she comes across the finish line, right? So she just hit that button, I have a feeling. And at any moment, so her 20-minute power, what better way to get that, a personal best, than by trying to hold off this group? I'm expecting, well, this race will be under 42 minutes out here, I would guess, today. So there's going to be an absolute explosion. This group is going to be really put through a stress test. There's no doubt. ATP, though, how about these ladies today? I was just taking a look over at someone trying to get background on our riders. We've been talking about Cassandra Rush and how far she has come. You could say the same thing about ATP. Ali Bronston, Jennifer Santoyo. It's a great team. It really is. Megan Florazone, the Canadian on that squad, Meredith Moran, and then I've mentioned Rachel Lieberman. And then they have a New Zealander, two women from New Zealand racing out here. Sonia Foote is the other. But this is, again, Virginia Blue Ridge doing what they do so well.
Yeah, I definitely want to highlight the reality here, Dave, of um, with what has to happen for any kind of challenge here for Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024 at this point. I think that somebody has to try and make some sort of a move to try and break them, but I just don't know if it's even possible. Did they just have to concede at this point, Dave? The reality, and it's a race for second? Because, I mean, Rush, though, continues to show that OTR is here to make the moves, but they can just cover. They've got so much talent now at this point. I'm not sure that there's anything that a lot of these teams. Now, one thing I do want to point out, the pizza button is definitely something because it was invest in the pizza button or get a power up button. I think the pizza button what took a higher priority for the quick diet. Yeah, it just made more sense. The power up button maybe not needed necessarily as much. I do know Anna Russell, though, recently did get a power up button added to her bike. I don't know if you know what that is, Dave, but you can get a little, so you can get a little
designated button. It's like an easy button at Staples. You just reach over and
you
slap
just put it
it.
in. Yeah, you put it on your handlebars actually, so you don't have to. It's just an extra keyboard button that you can use as a USB. You plug it in as a USB into your computer or whatever your input format might be, and then from there, the rider, when they're in the middle of a sprint, can still tap the button without having to remove their hands from the handlebar. So maybe Anna Russell, with a little bit of motivation to use her new power up button, has showed up today because chat's letting us know, hey, it sounded like Anna was done racing and she shows up today. Yeah. So good on her for making the sacrifice for the team.
Even better if she's doing psych out head games and saying she wasn't going to race, knowing she was going to race. It's not beyond. She's a triathlete. There's a lot of that going on, the mental element. Either way, we love Anna. And you're not kidding about that button. I've seen our friend Eric Schlange has shown some examples of very creative ways of doing exactly that. And it really is just a workaround to make it so that, and here we go. Speaking of that, she's deployed her power up, as Nathan mentioned. Drafting is available. This is going to be, again, Emily Ehrlich coming up and over the top with Kristen Kolchinsky. This might be the launch pad. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, two, one, launch. Kolchinsky, all systems go. Houston, they've launched. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what her plan is, but it would be interesting to see her do a 10K time trial here. At this point now, they really are playing with the house's money. We've got one race left. The team time trial next week, which happens to be a specialty of a few of the squads that we've got racing here. You know who's going to really benefit from that one? The learning curve is steep, and there's no doubt Team Optum, the Canadian squad, that has, do I see two or three jerseys? It looks like two up in this group. One of them is Michelle Jean, the Watt Machine, right there over on the racer's left-hand side. But taking a look at a reduced peloton now, Nathan, really looks like maybe a baker's dozen of riders that we've got here. ATP with two. Virginia Blue Ridge remains the dominant squad, the apex predator of this race.
Champagne, also the other rider from Optimum out there currently. We'll see if they can rack up some points to try and get competitive at the front end. Is that how it would be pronounced?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay,
I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Well,
although it
no,
could
but
be.
really, my French is the worst out of all of the languages I try to bring into any kind of the commentary.
That was an old original from a few 3-4 years ago. Canyon, like Canyon, a mnemonic device to help remember. But yeah, it's great having our Quebec-based riders that they bring a ton of good energy to esports without any doubt. Taking a look at this group, four for Riot there. That's the Zwift jersey that you see in the high vis. Is that a high vis blue? I don't know. It's certainly an interesting raspberry blue. I don't even know what you'd call it, but that's Riot there. Trying to figure out a way. They're extremely good at team time trialing, the Riot squad, but I don't know that there's going to be enough points left. There's not enough runway. But here she goes again, Cassandra Rush to the front. Now Emily Ehrlich saying, I am here to slam these sprints, and her teammate Kolchinsky is going to just roll right through with her. So these two have got 1-2 enough times. This is the equivalent of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan on the 96 Bulls, what we're looking at with Ehrlich and Kolchinsky here.
Ula Moran from ATP jumping back on the back here with that aero power up, 21.6 kilometers. This is going by pretty fast. The speeds in this women's race are high intensity, actually, at 52 kilometers per hour here, Dave. They are not slowing down. I feel like the kind of pressure that has been put on through each and every one of these sprints has kind of changed up the name of the game out here today on this Glasgow Crit course compared to what we saw in the women's ERP. And I feel like there was a little bit more of a sprint, rest, and reset, whereas the way in which they're sprinting these and the ferocity which they're taking them on together here, Dave, I just feel like it's coming. The race is coming at these athletes very quickly, and there isn't a lot of time for them to really do anything but replan what the next sprint is going to be. We'll see if the heart rates come down enough necessarily, or if anybody can follow a wheel enough to maybe plan anything other than, can I just grab a top 10 through each and every one of these FALs that are left?
You make a really great point, Nathan. When it's this fast and this hard, you're just hanging on. There is no tactic or strategy for trying to attack the race when they're going 50K per hour. And I mean, to get any kind of gap, you're going to have to go into the red zone for a long time and be very, very exposed. You look at the kicker here, and here we go again. It's like a horrible roller coaster ride, right? Every time through, you get slammed and you feel like you're getting sick. Well, that's Emily Ehrlich, who is just absolutely thrashing this race. And every time, Nathan, Kolchinsky just leaves that group like an angel ascending to heaven, right? She just leaves at will. It's really phenomenal.
Another athlete that is a recent pickup, actually, that took some early points, very solid, consistent out here from this Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 is going to be Nicole Steinmetz. Newest upcoming talent, actually. She is 19 years of age and is actually racing the Redlands Classic actually next month, from what I'm being told. So the coolest thing, I think, that's one of the coolest things about this platform, Dave, is the way that these athletes get to shine, the way that they get to race as well with the rest of their teammates from all over the world, all over the country. And then, they have these in real life engagements that they can have to in real life racing, as well as online virtually, to get a good workout in and set up some tactics. And they're in a Discord channel right now, getting to know each other at a level on this Zwift racing that you can't do unless you go to a team camp. And it's essentially like you can have a team camp on a weekly basis, or even a couple of times a week, because of the platform and what it can offer if a team will take advantage of it.
An excellent point. Never even thought of that, Nathan. I have to say that the partnership that Zwift has had with Virginia Blue Ridge has been one of the best when you look at the opportunities and, yeah, just that cross pollination between in real life racing, as you said. I mean, Steinmetz, 19 years old. I did not realize she was that young. Going to be racing Redlands, which for those not in the U.S. is one of the bigger stage races that still remains in the United States. So she's going to be well integrated into the program. It speaks to what Nikki Cranmer has done with the program. Whether it's esports specific athletes or Marlise Mejias, the Cuban rider on the team, who also has been a great combination of in real life. But here's an esports superstar looking at Kristen Kolchinski, which is something that it didn't exist 10 years ago, what's happening here with Zwift. So Emily Ehrlich now rolling up to the front of the group. These two women are in fuego out here tonight in Scotland. That catch being made, though.
I want to speak to this. What just happened with that sprint? This is really interesting how Kolchinski played this, and it kind of speaks to how this sprint can be played in a way that is all about speed. Actually, it's not so much. Watch how Kolchinski. She almost gets a lead out from Steinmetz here. Watch how she kind of sneaks up here. 7 watts per kilogram. 7 watts per kilogram. Aero power up from the right position, and then rolls through with that speed, just sets it at 9 watts per kilogram. It's not that 11 or 12 that we've seen from a solid kick or anything, just up into 500 watts, aero power up, gets the distance, super high speed, all the way through 58 kilometers per hour. The rest couldn't even respond. There was plenty of watts back there, Dave, but that roll through speed and the way that she used it to use the rest of the riders around here, definitely astute to what the Zwift craft is, that it's speed over watts. As far as priority goes when it comes to winning sprints or being positioned in the peloton correctly, it really is. Now, not that watts don't matter. It's just in order of operations. If this was a math equation, it's going to be speed first, watts second.
Well, and you would know as well as Kristen Kolchinski that that level of understanding of the sport is something that, to be honest, some really strong athletes get into esports, and that's the hardest part of this whole thing to figure out is, that I think I even saw in the wrap last week, one of the questions was, what is Zwiftcraft? Well, it's exactly that. This is what you call a wattage cottage. When you look at Emily Ehrlich here, there's nothing secret about what she's doing, nor Kolchinski is. It's just throwing down massive watts. But how about this ride? Or is that actually a lap
Look
rider?
at that. No, that's Anna Russell, and she just took third place.
Good for Anna.
And I am really impressed with Anna this week. I don't know if she just rested because she was talking about being just completely done. Like I was talking about in coaching, I talk about riding the edge of the cliff, and you need to ride right up to the edge of the cliff and push your training until you don't fall off. Don't fall off the cliff. Get all the good sights in your training and everything, but you got to go right to that point. You're getting maximum amount of stress to adaptive response to get stronger. And she was like, I'm off the cliff and free falling. Yeah, she fell off the cliff a while ago, weeks ago. Yeah. And now, did she rest up? Because look at this. She is definitely involved in one of the hardest races that we've had in the entirety of the Zwift Racing League this year.
Fitness is like a house with no windows. You can't look inside and see what's there. And every now and then you surprise yourself. You surprise other people. I don't know if she's surprising herself, but I would think she might be. And also it speaks to an athlete that's got a few decades of professional triathlete in her. There's something about the muscle memory, competitive instinct, right, Nathan? These are the intangibles. That's why we can't just pick on paper who's going to win these events. That's for sure. So taking a look at the peloton here, Nathan, I didn't realize this has gone by so quickly here. We're down to a little over a lap of racing remaining now
Wow, we're at
out
one to
here.
go.
So
One to go. I didn't even realize. Oh my
yeah,
goodness, you're right. This has been nonstop action, and suddenly, usually we're calling two to go and then one to go. It's less than lap and a half at this point. We're setting up for the last three sprints as we roll right on into it. We're taking a look at Anna Russell right now at the back. Is she timing this one well, or is she planning a late attack here? Optimum's at the front. They're going to be the lead-out train, it looks like, with Jean right here with Champagne on her wheel, and here comes Kolchinski and the rest of 2024. Liberin's opening it up. It's going to be Steinman's now taking over at 9 watts per kilogram. Arrow power up. Big kick here from VBR, and it is going to be Nicole Steinman's, I think, or is her teammate Ehrlich going to come over the top? Ehrlich, I think, just going to nudge her out. Kolchinski as well, but it's a 1-2-3.
1, 2, 3.
Russell coming through for fourth, and then Grossman on her wheel for fifth.
So you've seen in real life Emily Ehrlich, so this nickname will have to make you chuckle, but I think that she's the new cannibal, Nathan. She eats every point she can find. This woman is relentless, no question. So the cannibal, I'm going to stick with that, like Eddie
She
Merckx.
definitely could do it all,
No gift.
too. I mean, she's got a good
She
kick,
can.
obviously, as far as the sprint goes. We've seen her climbing as well. And the reality of being able to take down in real life time trials, I mean, she definitely has it across, in spades, the cards across the board, royal flush. So really solid there. Now, Nicole Steinmetz, though, nice little lead out from her for the rest of the team at this point. And nice job by 2024 to take those 1, 2, 3. Now we're down to the last lap here at this point. Can some of the other teams at this point, if they've been saving any cards to maybe put out some surprise and throw down something in this final lap? Megan Rathwell on the left-hand side. Haven't said a whole lot about this rider who's a good punchy climber a lot of times. Maybe a late attack from her. Christina Grossman maybe looking to set up with a nice power up and perhaps sit on the wheels correctly to find the right timing for a win out there. There's still a lot that can happen here in this last lap.
Now's a great time, Nathan, to thank all of the women that have raced out here in what's been one of our favorite seasons, without any doubt. I'll say for me personally, it has been getting to know these teams and these riders. Even though Virginia Blue Ridge looks really strong out here, Riot has stepped up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with second today, because we could have ourselves quite a showdown for the final event coming up next Tuesday, the 21st. But here we go, the penultimate sprint. Ehrlich again. So the Detroit Diesel here, Emily Ehrlich to the front, Kolchinski on cue will step up, and they'll go 1-2 for what seems like the zillionth time out here today.
Grossman with a solid kick there with that drafting power up. Is anybody going to make a move now at this point onto the downhill? It is all together. Again, there's a lot of speed from the pack. It can be difficult to get away. Champagne on the front from Optimum. We could see a late move. Now, interesting, a feather power up actually. Who's using the feather power up here? Is that actually going to be not Kolchinski? It's Marion Lawson using a feather power up very late, actually. She did just get that. It does look like a little bit of struggle from Genreal, as well as, I believe Centoya is a lap rider actually behind here. So Genreal is going to get back on terms here. She will still be able to be in the top 13 now, as it is Marion Lawson right in front of her, who's giving her a wheel to get back on terms.
Yeah, Genreal is going to slot in another very accomplished gravel racer in real life. Yeah, you can see that she slots right back into this group. So, Nathan, I'm just kind of running the numbers when you look at finishing points, where there are a lot of points available at that line. And I think there's more athletes ready to claim points for Riot than their competitors out here. And we've talked about the other teams like OTR and Optum. And at this point now, Riot will be looking to get into a tie for second place. I think that's their plan if things go their way here. 100%. Talking about after two races of 3.
It's really cool to see ATP actually in that second place battling for the win here. OTR is still involved as well, but they don't have anybody here besides Cassandra Rush, and I'm not sure she can hold down the amount of points that would be needed to make that challenge. But ATP, they do still have 3 riders here, Dave, it looks like. I think one of them may be lapped rider.
They need to place well. 2. Yeah, for ATP to win or win second today, they're going to need to place these riders well in this group, but it is possible.
And here we go, the ramp up into the finish line. There's the final time through the last 200 meters, and it's going to be Lieberman leading out. Now Cassandra Russ going very early, but it's being led out by Kolchinski at the front. Here comes Emily Ehrlich, and Cassandra Russ is right to the line. 13 watts per kilogram from Rush. It's going to be Ehrlich across the line, though. Cassandra Russ leaving that big kick just a little too late as Ehrlich gets the jump. That's going to be it for the America's Cup for finals race number 2. And Emily Ehrlich does it again, Dave, as that has been the conversation over and over again, the highlights over and over again. Emily Ehrlich, but the domination in this Zwift Racing League round number, 2023. We saw it in round number 3, and now we're seeing it in the finals again. What a kick there to the line.
So, yeah, in no particular order, Emily Ehrlich, as you said, phenomenal. Certainly the rider of the day. Kolchinski doing what Kolchinski does. So, in a weird way, it's hard to say that this was a blue ribbon Kristen Kolchinski performance because this is exactly what you would expect. And that's what you get when you're the queen of the hill, to be honest. And she's well aware of that. But how about Cassandra Rush today as well? Credit where it's due. That was best ride we've seen in a long time from Cassandra. A great indicator for her. And Riot ATP, a battle that we'll have to look at the count back because this FTS, the fastest through segment points, they have a huge impact on the ultimate outcome. So we look at all of the riders, the many opportunities to score points. I think it's pretty clear. You don't need to be a math major to know that Virginia Blue Ridge was phenomenal today. But right behind them, Nathan, there's still got to be some question marks.
Yeah, looking behind them there, it was going to be Rush there. Then the overtaking. ATP right
ATP,
there.
yeah, that's pretty good for them. That's going to be 4th and 5th or 3rd and 5th or something like that. But that helps quite a bit.
Yeah, I think Sonia Foote still with another lap to go. She was involved there, I think, just for maybe trying to grab some FTS points. But there was another rider as well from ATP and mixed in amongst them. So we'll have to wait and see how that played out. I'm going to see if I can bring in some rider results. And then we'll also take a look at how things stand on the day after for the points totals. As it looks like Emily Ehrlich really cleaning things up out here today. As it is going to be, this is as things stand. Lots of points with FALs. Kolchinski there, followed up by Rush, Lawson, Russell, Steinmetz, Jean, Reel, Rathwell, Grossman. That's the current situation. We aren't going to show the league change-ups as of yet because there are still riders out on course, and sometimes it does take a little while for them to complete their racing out there, though, Dave.
Yeah, what's amazing to me is that Emily Ehrlich, just by herself, was, 236 points, or was it even more than that? But a stunning performance there. As far as I was actually thinking about it, Nathan, what is a perfect score? Right, if one athlete were to head out and set the fastest through segment and win every single sprint, Emily Ehrlich, like bowling, has its 300. Well, Emily Ehrlich came pretty close to a 300 out here tonight. Part of that, to be fair, was Kolchinski looked to be riding like a teammate today at the highest level. I have a feeling that Kolchinski's plan was to help set up Emily for that ride, and it looked like something was, in a very positive way, was going on there. Instead of Kolchinski attacking and going solo, which I believe she could, I think she decided that today was going to be a day to take a turn for the team.
Yeah, 100%. Now, as we look forward to next week, though, we do have a situation where I think that this is going to be a race perhaps for second. It would have to be a complete meltdown, I think, from Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 at this point in order to not be able to hold on to that top spot. And they've also been very dominant as of recently at the team time trial. It was a place where they struggled a little bit up against some of the community teams. And now at this point, now that they've kind of rounded out the roster with a lot of power as well as Zwift craft experience, they have been pretty dominant. So we'll have to wait and see how things play out, though, between ATP and Riot, as well as even OTR, if they can show up with a solid TTT team next week to crown our champions in the Zwift Racing League Finals and see who gets those coveted ZRL helmets as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how that plays out next week in the team time trial. I've actually got to go get kitted up, Dave. I'm glad I watched this all. I actually watched this all play out. I'm using this for my first go at intervals, something into a VO2, because I've done pretty much almost no super high intensity training as of yet. It's all been threshold and everything as I look forward to my own in real life racing season. So this looked, oh boy, this looked intense. We're going to see how this plays out. I'll give a race report next week, maybe a little bit about how incredibly, because there's nothing like getting the actual how did that go, right? How did that feel?
Well, good luck. You couldn't find a better course to suit your needs, that's for sure. This is going to be a really fun way to wrap things up with our team time trial coming up next week. So same time, same place for what's going to be the third and final week of racing for what's been that 2022-23 season. So thanks, Nathan. Good luck.
Thank you so much. We'll talk more about that on the wrap, because I do think this course specifically, when I watched it with the commentary, everybody today, it looks like a cyclocross or mountain bike race on a true cyclocross or true mountain bike race type course. It just comes at the racers, boom, 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 over and over again until the lights go out. And we saw that, and it was it's pretty cool to see what Zwift have created here with this Glasgow Crit course. I think it is. They had said a lot in the releases of these courses that they were looking to fill a hole in what they had for race courses, and I really think they have done an amazing job with that with this one. So, well,
couldn't agree more.
I'm going to go find out, though, in just a few moments. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit those follow buttons, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share it up on your socials. We see it all if you tag us, and we really appreciate all of that. We will see you on Thursday for the wrap, as well as next week for the final race 3 in the Zwift Racing League Finals presented by WTRL. Head over to WTRL.racing for all the results as well. For myself and Dave Towle, as always, ride on.